Recently I was on a server that was playing on a rotation between Gulf of Oman and Caspian Border, two maps that in my opinion are quite contested in terms of their actual playability and their, players' enjoyment on the battlefield, but also two maps that can be a lot of fun if you play them in a little bit of a different manner to the other maps. With Gulf of Oman, you're kind of stuck with, in my opinion, for vehicle gameplay, the Russian side in terms of the LAV in your tank, and the other side quite often is a boring task of getting the boats to the side of the land and then just TVing onto the land and trying to steal some enemy armor or possibly pick up a tank or an LAV off a flag. I'm not a fan of flying the helicopter on this map. It really doesn't have enough cover, and unless you're really going to be flying behind buildings and trying picking off people, I don't really like it that much. Although saying that, you can have some good games, and as long as the Stingers or Soft Lam isn't as crazy as sometimes you find on Battlefield, it can actually be a laugh. For me, the best thing to do on this map is to play in the LAV, and the reason I like it so much is because you can tow missile, jets and helicopters, and also have some really nice old school battlefield on this little place up here between Echo and a couple of the flags around the Russian base. Now they're really nice, the destruction's awesome, and the verticality I think is just about right. On a lot of the other Battlefield maps they do get the verticality wrong, and you find a lot of people standing on roofs a lot of the time, and although that is a bit of an issue on Oman, it's not the worst thing. Especially on this little part of the map, I do like the close quarters, and I do like the fact that you have to, there's a lot of places for the enemies to hide, and using your thermal vision you can pick them out, and it's quite a nice little battle quite often between an infantry or an engineer squad and a pair of people in an LAV. Now the reason I've posted this gameplay today is because it's just a prompt for a little series I'm going to do. It's just a 2 or 3 part series, but it's going to focus on my favourite maps and my worst maps in Battlefield, and then I'm going to post some gameplay from each map, some of it fairly good, some of it not very good at all. So hopefully we can have a bit of a discussion about what maps are best, what maps are your favourites. Obviously there are going to be some that I pick from the helicopter point of view, some that I pick from the tanking point of view, but in terms of infantry I'm not really that well informed. So what I'd ask you to do down in the comments is leave a couple of maps that are your favourite and a couple of maps that aren't your favourite, just so I can get a bit of a bearing to what people like. From what I'm aware, the favourite maps from my point of view from the vanilla game are usually Siege of Shanghai. A lot of people play Lockers, but that completely divides opinion. And then you've got a couple of others that I do quite enjoy, like Dawnbreaker, maybe Road Transmission, and possibly something like Hainan Resort. Some that I really don't enjoy, I'll just give you a heads up. Gonwood Railway I think is just too open, and for tanking it's not so fun with guided shells, and for infantry I wouldn't even bother playing it. I'm not a massive fan of Flood Zone. I don't think that it really offers that much in terms of vehicle warfare, and unless you're a scout heli pilot it's not ideal. For TDM I can imagine it's actually quite fun for infantry, but for Conquest it's not ideal for somebody with my playstyle. And then finally a couple of maps from the DLCs, I'd probably go with a map I dislike, probably Silk Road or something along those lines, again for the same reason I don't like Golmud. As for my favourite maps, I think I'm stuck between a couple of tanking maps like Propaganda and then possibly one of the Final Stand maps. I actually don't think they're too bad in terms of tanking. Sometimes you do feel like you've just been placed in the middle of nowhere surrounded by hundreds of other vehicles in the case of Hammerhead, and Hangar 21 obviously is no good for tanking whatsoever, but Whiteout I think is quite fun for the LAV, and Giants of Karelia it can actually be a lot of fun for the helicopter as well. So there's a good debate to have between which maps I actually enjoy and which maps I don't on this game. And then obviously in my other series, Battlefield Classified, we'll talk about the sort of maps that I really like and what I think should be incorporated into the next Battlefield game in terms of play styles, playability, the sort of vehicles that you can, game modes that you'd find on a map like that, and certain things that I think shouldn't be included. And that brings me on to the big problem on Gulf of Oman, in my opinion. Why on earth did they incorporate a sandstorm into a game like this? I don't see the point in it whatsoever. Now maybe having a sandstorm that lasted for a minute or so and kind of spiced up the gameplay just a little bit and gave players a little bit of a bearing of how far through the game you were, or what sort of what the tickets were like, or something like that might be quite cool. But having it just from virtually the offset, as you can see now, yes, we've been playing for a little bit of time, but the sandstorm's already kicked off and the enemy team has 800 tickets remaining. I mean, I don't understand. The game is not as good, or the map is not as good with the sandstorm as it is without it. So I don't understand why they've done that, and that is it brings up a whole new discussion between levolution and whether it's actually a good idea in games such as Battlefield, or whether they should go back to just the simple destruction on a map. So you can blow out virtually every wall, you can smash down things with grenades, grenade launchers, with vehicles, and things destroy and you don't get glitched on them. As you'll see throughout this video as well, I do get the LAV stuck a couple of times, as does my friend, which makes absolutely no sense. It's a flipping LAV, it shouldn't get stuck in just some glitchy mud or on a bit of wood on the side of the road, you know? It's just a little bit of a silly one when you're talking about Battlefield and large-scale warfare, something that I don't think should be incorporated at all, but I think that's more down to the actual physics of the game instead of the map design. As for the LAV on this map, I think the best setup to be running is 25mm and tow missile. You could run with the canister if you're planning on doing a bit of a run and gun on some infantry, but in terms of the vehicles that you're going to come up against and some of the longer range engagements that you will want to have, especially against snipers up in towers, the 25mm offer a really nice all-round approach for taking them down. In terms of streaks on this map, I don't think I've hit anything much over a 50 or a 60 in the LAV. It's quite a difficult one when you're playing on a map such as this to hit a consistent streak unless the enemy team is just on one flag and being pummeled, and you can just almost farm them all up. When you've got to move around a map this size and take on little bits of infantry here and there, your KPM isn't going to be fantastic. One of the good things though is you can pick up some really nice tow missiles on enemy helicopters, and I find that with the sandstorm as well, that provides a bit of an extra challenge, taking out especially the jets, so you can have some fun that way. That's it for this episode. It was just a quick one, mainly trying to get some people discussing their favourite and least favourite maps on the game down in the comments. I'll just leave you with a bit of gameplay so you can see some of the tow missiles I hit throughout this game and some of the gameplay as well, because it is a fairly nice map to play, apart from all the criticism that I've just given it. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like. Make sure you keep an eye out as well for that video, the best and worst maps in Battlefield. It will be coming out fairly soon, and it should be something that could be quite interesting. I'm going to spend a bit of time on getting some nice gameplay for that, so it's definitely be worth checking it out. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Обнаружен вражеского бронетехника! We've taken objective. Flag will be executed. Save what you can. Objective Echo to the light. Enemy just bagged someone as a high-value target. We now control objective Echo.